In 2024, your host, Mark Smith, celebrated 7 years of the Microsoft Business Applications podcast. Now, we step into a transformative 2025 with a fresh new name. Welcome to the Microsoft Innovation Podcast. Our new name reflects a broader vision, exploring the intersection of people, business, technology, and AI. You'll also hear from me, Meg Smith, a bit more as we launch a new exciting series called The AI Show.
Welcome to the Power Platform Show. Thanks for joining me today. I hope today's guest inspires and educates you on the possibilities of the Microsoft Power Platform. Now, let's get on with the show. In this episode, we'll be focusing on building mega apps on the Power Platform and why it should be part of your enterprise strategy. Today's guest hails from the vibrant city of Hyderabad, India, and is a distinguished leader in the tech community, currently serving as the manager of technology practice at Saxon AI. Vibhuti is a frequent advocate for the transformative capabilities of the Microsoft Power Platform. Her dedication extends beyond mere advocacy. She is deeply committed to leveraging the potential of low-code development and revolutionizing business operations. Vibhuti's mission is clear: to empower organizations to thrive in the digital age, optimizing processes and fostering innovation through accessible technology solutions. For more insights into her professional journey and to connect with her online, check the show notes for this episode for her links to those and her bio social media profiles. Please join me in welcoming Vibhuti to the show.
Hey, Mark, how are you? Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
Good to have you on the show. Why is Hyderabad awesome?
I keep traveling to Hyderabad from New Delhi, right? So I'll tell you, I see that big city in India versus Hyderabad, that is the upcoming big city. So it's very interesting for me to see that journey, what's happening. And of course, there's a lot of spicy Indian food, so that I may not enjoy so much, but for everybody listening, that might be a good hook to come to Hyderabad.
So that leads us into food, family, and fun. What do they mean to you?
So food, sometimes it's just for me to sustain. Actually, sometimes I keep forgetting the food that I have to eat, and I limit myself to coffee when it comes to food. Family, I stay with my parents. I have a lovely dog, so they make me feel really wholesome there. And when it comes to fun, this is fun where we are at today. So I love traveling. I keep on visiting new places, and I also, in my free time, look up to new things that's happening. Because in the technology space that we all are in today, Power Platform, it's ever evolving. So I think I would say food, family, fun. That's for me.
Have you done much overseas travel?
Oh yes, I was in Spain probably 2 months back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can you speak Spanish?
Hola. I think gracias. That's the Spanish I can speak.
Yes. Wow, interesting. But your English is absolutely very fluent.
But you would hear a little bit of coarseness in my voice today because I am still under the weather. So thank you so much, at least.
You're awesome. Tell me, how did you get into a tech career? What was that, from whether it was early childhood or what led you to be, tech is going to be my thing?
To be honest, that's a question for which I will tell you the answer came in really late in my career. I did my graduation and it was non-tech. I pursued mathematics in my graduation, and then I somehow landed up with a big giant in India. They do a lot of mass recruitment. So it was a campus hire. When I joined them, they trained me on the C-sharp side of technology, right? And as a nascent person, I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. I mean, I'm getting to work on something that's dynamically changing every day. And the high of actually writing the code and running F5 when you see it coming on screen, I think that was very interesting for me. So then I thought, okay, I think my backup plan should become my first. So that's how I switched my plans. I came to tech full time, and then I continued to stay with it. When it came to my journey with Microsoft on the tech stack, right? So I started from .NET, then I moved to SharePoint. I explored that side of it, like CSOM, JSOM, the online parts of it where we had like really fancy SharePoint forms coming in. And that's when the birth of Power Platform happened, and I was right there. So, and I think after that, I feel that it was a good decision for me to actually move that decision of staying in maths and doing something probably be a professor in mathematics or something like that. But then coming to do full-time tech, I think that was a great leap of faith.
Nice. So how many years do you think you've been in Power Platform now?
Right from the start, Mark. So I know Power Platform since the day we started plugging it in SharePoint forms.
Wow.
So I think that was early 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah.
2016 was the year that Microsoft bought it out. They didn't call it Power Platform to 2019. It was Power Apps to start with, and particularly the Canvas apps experience. So I wanted to talk about mega apps, and perhaps if you can cast your eye back across your career and talk about, one or two projects that would be considered a mega app implementation, or I commonly refer to these as anchor apps in organizations. So they're, a lot of people use the Power Platform to do little things, right? To build a little checklist app and to build a little an app to look something up maybe. But because I came from a background of XRM, which was the predecessor to Power Platform, it's built on the same architecture, I never used to sell CRM. I can count on one hand how many CRM implementations I did, but I used to take the platform, strip off the customer relationship management, and I would build apps that after 10, 15 years, they're still in operation, right? They're big apps operating in these businesses and government organizations that I implemented the technology in. And so with that in mind, tell me about how you can relate to that.
So I will talk about one of my projects that I was working in my stint earlier to Saxon. So I was working with EY, and we tried to come up with a Power Platform application primarily built on top of model-driven apps for their insurance clients. So what we packaged it as was the entire producer lifecycle journey, right? So we wanted to manage how you can register new producers who are going to do your insurance procurement and etc. selling insurance, and how that can also get information real time from the National Insurance Producer Registry, which is the government body that's there in the US. Back and forth, a lot of API calls were happening. A lot of data was being fetched. It was a very intuitive app which was continuing to carry your holistic producer lifecycle journey, because you onboard them, you offboard them, you transfer them, you take care of their trainings, every module. I mean, you can simply relate it to a normal HR tool, but that HR tool is just doing everything that's happening for the insurance industry and the producer lifecycle with their agents, their clients, their training, etc. So that's one piece that I can relate to, where you said that that app which I worked on, which was created on the Power Platform, is still running, and it's now being sold as a product by the organization. Yeah. So, there are multiple clients I know of who are really heavy on the workforce. They have huge number of producers right in the US market. They are still using it, and there are multiple who are also getting on board as we speak. So I think that's where my relation, that's where I feel that it's relevant.
Yeah. That's interesting. And so that app then that's been sold, is that, you said the US market, is it sold into any other markets around the world?
No, not yet, Mark, because currently the integrations what we focused for was very specific to US markets, because you have the registry, right, NIPR, and then US itself has a lot of states. So there are a lot of laws, and these laws for insurance keep on changing. So you have to be updated. So today you have to do 3 certifications to be able to sell an insurance product, but tomorrow you need 4. So that's very dynamic. So we wanted to take one market at a time, land and expand there, and then probably start it for another geography, and UK was one which we started talking about. And then I had to exit and come to Saxon.
Gotcha. And is there any other big projects that you've been on that you've built, a mega app?
So right now, as we speak, we are working on a full-time project with an organization. It's a construction-based organization in US again. It's massive. It has a large workforce. It has presence. Everybody knows them. We are working for them to transform their technology journey from the low-code platform that they are using currently and move them to Power Platform.
What's the platform they're on?
They were using Appian, and Appian, when I personally saw it, it had a lot of good features. It's really very well on the model side of it, but then expensive. It's very difficult to manage. It's not as evolving. There are no much feature releases. And when it comes to Power Platform, you can see the contrast, right? Like, I mean, I open my Power Platform some days, like twice a week, and I will see there are different features a day. It's frustrating and exciting at the same time for us.
Yeah. I'm the type of person that always likes new features. I want to always try out what's new. So I love that. And I love the constant iteration and development that Microsoft is doing on the platform. Give me a feel for, the size of that organization that we can't mention the name is like, do you have a feel for how many people they have across their company, how large that would be?
Okay, let me talk about this another application which we are doing for a retail customer in the MENA region. So when I say retail customer, so you know the number of people hitting their website. It's not gonna be tailored or catered or limited to any set of numbers. So that's where also we are planning to do an holistic vendor management along with external internal application users. We're also doing various sub applications under that. So when you talk about the holistic idea of a mega app, how we see it that there will be one interface where you come.
Yes.
It would be, if I could say, I think I would call it intranet of the new times.
Yes. Yes. That's interesting.
So it would be something like that, where you have everything together in that bundle and you can do all of your minor application accesses, maintain external, internal users, have launching different applications right from one home screen. And I would call that a true mega application. And since it's open and retail and it will have external anonymous users too. So, numbers would not be a point that we will have to talk about.
I've had conversation with enterprise architects inside organizations, and they feel that the Power Platform is not enterprise. And how would you answer that?
I think, honestly, as a solution consultant and as a person who has been talking Power Platform day in and day out from the start of it, I would partially agree to that statement. But I would also say that you've not explored a lot of features to have that statement still valid. So when you talk about Power Platform not being the one that can suffice the enterprise level, you're thinking from the fact that my licenses are going to be expensive. I don't want every SKU people to be using the kind of same licenses that you want. So there are ways in which you can do it. You necessarily would not want everybody on a premium and have some access same and have the minor level of privileges, right? So that's where the solution designing, the consultation that you do prior to getting into it would be very important in my per se.
Yeah, interesting. Has there ever been in the projects you've been on any discussion around security implications or concerns about the security of the Power Platform?
Security is, I think, the prima selling factor for Power Platform, given that everything stays in your tenant and it's safeguarded by Microsoft. So even with the Copilot story inside Power Platform now, the primary thing that we are all focusing on is how secure it is, because the guardrails that Microsoft has, everything stays in your tenant, nothing is going out. Even if you want to expose certain APIs, we have full liberty of containing it to the level of, the permissions that we have to set at the custom connector level as well, and the exposure that we have to do for it. So I think security is one of the key selling factors. I would not say it is a concern for most of the people I have interacted with.
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned Copilot, so let's talk about AI. I suppose we're about almost coming up 2 years now since the Gen AI explosion that has happened. Are you coming across it much in your work? What are you seeing?
I feel IDP, when it comes to intelligent document processing, the part of AI, it's being massively shipped right now. So everybody wants to actually have reduced that pain of right now going through several Excel PDFs that they have and want everything extracted seamlessly and put in an application for easier access, bucketed. I think this is one thing that I am seeing as we speak. I have met multiple clients in the past for it. It's not even region specific, to be honest, because I saw this wave was coming in India. It was coming in the MENA region. Then I saw lots coming from US. So it's everywhere. I think that's one area where people have started exploring the AI factor, document intelligence, even though this was already there when we talked about the cognitive services. But with the Copilot, I think that's one area where people have actually started being like, okay, let's get our documents intelligent at least. And then another thing that I've seen in my recent client interactions when it comes to Copilot is they're curious. They want to know what it is because a lot is happening. Everybody's talking Gen AI, everybody's talking AI is the future, but they don't know what AI is and how AI can do something better for you. So a lot of education is also happening when we talk to our customers these days. They want to know how we can help them. They want to understand even basics of having, let's say, a co-pilot on your Microsoft Teams. So sometimes we have to just run it out and we have to show them, see how your meeting minutes can be generated, because like a CXO, a CTO, or a CEO doesn't have the time to have, let's say, a particular assistant running in that meeting. So all they have to do is they just start a meeting of their own, start the recording, add a transcript by Copilot, and you have the meeting notes. I mean, basic AI is also something now everybody's interested.
Have you worked on any more advanced use cases for AI yet?
We have certain in pipelines, Mark, and I would not be able to say that. So say more on that because it's still under the ideation phases.
Yes.
But document processing, getting and extracting data, then the plugin part of Copilot Story is again one of the most interesting things that we have worked on with the SAP database.
Yeah, interesting. So SAP integration.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a big growth area. Tell me, just back on the document automation, can you explain to me how that works? Because I've not worked in that area. Can you tell me more?
So let me talk and take an example of a sales order generation today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of your manufacturing industry, retail industry, any industry you call, there is a sales order unit where order generation is a part of it. So as simple as getting orders from your vendors, or when it comes to dispatching it to your end users, you will have a lot of bills coming in. You will have a lot of bills coming in and then passing through multiple systems, SAP being one of them at sometimes. So one of the solutions that we are working on today is your bill comes in. We pick them up. We study your bill. We can train the models based on your vendors. We templatize it. We get the information. We get the underlining of it. We raise out certain flags. Let's say there is an error in the bill. Somebody is trying to be mischievous with you. They have 5 line items and the total that they show is way beyond it. So, I mean, necessarily, it can still be left as okay from a human eye. But with AI and the tools that we have, we can intelligently see all those line items, make that match, add more business rules. Let's say if you want to raise a flag at some other levels in that bill, we can do that. So all those validations and flags are being there. Then it goes to your system, which is a Power App. So let's say I have a Canvas app, I put all that extracted data there, assign it to my sales rep who is responsible for that particular interaction and order generation. Since it's very data sensitive at the moment, because your data is going to go into your SAP, your orders will be generated and it's tons of data and a lot of money is involved. So the first 3 months, ideally what we do is we do have a manual approval process. We extract the data, we give you the flags, we tell you if it's okay or not. We give you all our information from the AI standpoint, but we still let you skim through it for a quick second. And then once you're okay with it, we generate the mapping to SAP or any other ERP system for that matter. Your notifications, approvals, communication to your clients, customers, etc., is all taken care of in this particular solution.
Interesting. You can see how, for a lot of organizations, that's going to have a massive impact. On the SAP side of things, you talked about you've obviously had to integrate. Are you building custom integrations or are you using the SAP ERP connector from Microsoft?
Custom integrations, because sometimes, again, the ERP connectors, as much as it's readily available, but we have faced certain challenges in the past. I mean, with the connection breaking in. And sometimes when we are doing the direct connectors via Power Automate or inside the Copilot Story, we're not getting it as right because your integrations, it's too complicated also sometimes to write it right on the connector. So when we do a custom connector, we're writing a plugin of our own and I'm writing my own integration to the endpoint that I have. It becomes a lot easier. So again, I would say it's case to case basis. If I have a very simple application, very basic SAP integrations, I would rather stick to my out of the box. And if it is related to a lot of complications, I would stick to proper approach.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, it's been great talking to you. Anything else you'd like to add before we finish?
I think Power Platform now, when we will be talking about today, and now if we talk about Power Platform in the coming 30 or 60 days, there would still be a lot of change in it. And I would be telling you about a lot of different use cases. So I think that's the fun of Power Platform. And to anybody who's listening, doing Power Platform, I think stay on your toes, right to be updated. And I think it's quite an interesting journey with the AI leg. I would say that.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If there's a guest you'd like to see on the show, please message me on LinkedIn. If you want to be a supporter of the show, please check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Stay safe out there and shoot for the stars.
Support for this episode comes from Justin Welsh's guide to finding your voice on LinkedIn. When I worked at Google, I never posted on LinkedIn because I didn't think anyone wanted to hear what I had to say. Then I took Justin's course, and it gave me the confidence to start sharing authentically. Check it out if you've been wanting to show up on LinkedIn but don't know how to start. Sign up using the link in the show notes.